Why, hello, love. Welcome to Coming Home with Mama T. I'm your host, Tiara, aka Mama T. And on this podcast, we explore the journey of living an extraordinary life by mastering our manifestation, maintaining a positive mindset, and living luxuriously. And today I am inspired by this book. It is called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Kimmerer, I think is how you pronounce it. Robin Wall Kimmerer, I think how it is. But anyways, this book, I'm like just getting started with it. I'm listening to it on a app called Libby, which is fantastic for those of you who are like digital library kind of people. So it gives me the opportunity to download audiobooks and listen. Sometimes you have to wait for things, but I think it's great for free. Like it's a digital library. What's to get mad about, right? So this book, and I don't remember how it came to the forefront of my mind. I think it just like I was looking for something about like herbs or whatever, and this book popped up, and it seems to be a pretty popular book. And it's written by this woman who's both a botanist, and she has an indigenous background, and she's sharing stories that are both like, from a like artistic poetic standpoint as well as like a scientific standpoint, and talking about like herbs and eating from the ground, and well, not from the ground, but like eating from like the world and plants and the medicine and magic and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like only like an hour into, like, I think it's like a 16-hour book, and I was really inspired. There was like one chapter that really talked about giving, like this giving economy, and it super spoke to me because something that's been like working in my mind as of late is really just like getting back to a simpler life, like getting back to like how can we shift this world into a way that is back to like more giving, less commercial, less like marketing, less like all of this insanity, this rat race, and really like finding our peace, finding a space to enjoy life, right? When I hear, these stories of like, oh, I used to like go out into the fields and pick wild strawberries and eat them, and it was wonderful and it was magical, and or like talking about families who they might not have had a lot of like monetary value to their name, but they had so much love and tradition and ritual and access to so much nourishment from just Mother Earth in this beautiful space that we live in, and they would go out, and like in this story it really brought to mind like her mom used to make these strawberry shortcakes, and they would pick wild strawberries as kids for their father for Father's Day, and I thought that was so beautiful and magical. And to me, this idea, the giving economy, that really spoke to me, was this idea that like you're giving back to the world, you're giving back to the earth as you are receiving from it, right? You're giving, like you're taking the strawberries, and maybe like, all the strawberries really want is just for you to enjoy them. But, she also talked about pecans and how trees actually, like the science behind it sounds like super, super interesting to me. But the idea that the concept that the trees like talk to each other, and they're very particular about when they bear their fruit, they bear their nuts for the pecans. So like strawberries are pretty, annual, right? They show up, they keep showing up, and they keep giving because they just want you to enjoy their beauty and their magicness. But like the pecans, however you say them, I don't know. I feel like I switch both back and forth between it. I think I say pecan pie and then I call it a pecan. I don't know. Anyways, but pecans, they, they might have a very fruitful season, and then 2-3 years they don't really bear any fruit. So you have to learn how to harvest and save and be very intentional about their use. You're not overindulging on them, but they're also like fatty and nutritious, and they're great, especially like in the winter time, when our bodies need a little extra coating, if you will, to stay warm depending on where you live. So it's very interesting that the way that the earth gives to us, Mother Earth, God, the beauty that is this wonderful space that we have the opportunity to live on and appreciate gives us everything we need. And we've kind of come to a life of like over cultivating the earth and overeating and overindulging and all of that kind of stuff. We've come to this habit, and we've also come to this habit of needing all of these excess things, so much in excess, to feel successful, to feel important, to feel something. I don't know. And in saying that, I mean, I say we, using it in the royal we sense, like maybe that's not you. I know that I am being more conscious about it. Yes, I love to indulge. Don't get me wrong. Of course I do. It's part of the luxury for me. I love food. I love drinking. I love sharing it with friends. But how can I make this better? Is my goal for 2024. How can I make this better for me and myself, my mind, my body, my spirit? How can I further enjoy every moment of every day and indulging and maybe the beauty of the world, and indulging and giving back to the earth through my plants? You can't really see them right here, but I have like spring onions that I've grown from some onions that I had brought from a grocery store, right? This is something that I'm really leaning into. I love this idea of being able to cultivate my own vegetable garden, even if it is like in my apartment, right? I have, which reminds me, I'm like, oh man, I had tomatoes and I think I threw them away. I could have tried to grow them. Maybe they're still in the trash can. But anyways, like, I grew this beautiful pepper. Look at that. It's a whole pepper. It's half red, half green right now. I'm like so enthralled with it. But it's like we have this power within us. We have this magic, and we can give back to our land and the community around us. Yes. So she was talking in the story about like how she was in somewhere in South America, and she went and she would go to this farmer's market, and everything was made with such love and such care and devotion to the items that they produced and grew and cooked, and there's something in that, right? Like there's something in the quality of a good or a service when it really comes from the heart. I think about my experience. Like I can go, like I was just in New Orleans, right? And I could go to just like a random bar, and like, I noticed it. I went to like a dive bar to try to watch the Eagles game, and no one was able to play the Eagles game. There's like a whole thing about being able to, like, how they could stream and their access to the like NFL packages and all this kind of stuff. It was a very interesting conversation, but they were like, basically the only way you're going to be able to watch that game is if you go to the casino. And I was like, we don't have time for that, but thank you. But I'm sitting in this bar, and it was funny because we're like looking at different things to drink, and they had an infused vodka that they used for their Bloody Marys, and that was like something that they could talk about. But they pretty much everything else was just kind of like, all right, we're just wheeling and dealing, slinging drinks around. But I've gotten used to this coming into like a space like my bar at home, Liberties, in downtown Los Angeles. I can wax poetically and talk. Well, I can't, but like the bartenders and the owners, they have their favorite drinks, they have their favorite whiskeys and bourbons, and they know what's on their back bar, and they can talk about the producers, and that is the stories is what really like attaches me to these this experience, right? And it feels so much different. I could take a shot of whiskey at a regular bar and it'd just be a shot of whiskey. But if I take it at a shot of whiskey at a place where I've learned about the producers, I've learned about the families that distilled it, and where the barley and all the stuff comes from, like that to me gives it just an extra layer of oomph and love, and just, it makes it that much more delicious, Selling wine for a living, I found that I could drink literally the same wine, like out of the same bottle. Maybe one day, the day I open it, and I know how to take care of a bottle of wine. The wine didn't go bad. It's like one day I open it and I'm like, okay, I sit it, I let it decant if I need to, whatever. And I'm just having like a rough day and I'm drinking it and it's like, it's all right, it's just a glass of wine. But like as soon the next day, maybe, my roommate's there or a friend comes over and I pull out that bottle of wine and I let it get to temperature and I pour glasses around, and I'm drinking, and I'm like, all of a sudden that wine is so much more brighter, that it's so much more luscious, it's so much more wonderful because of the experience that I'm having. And that is what I want to bring to this life, is that experience, that giving, that glory, the giving economy, right? So she was talking about a sock, for example. You could buy a pair of socks from the grocery store and it's just an exchange, and you put it on and you wear it, you do whatever, you don't really think much about it. But if your grandmother made you those socks, right? Even if you didn't like the pattern, they were too itchy, whatever, you would still wear them. I mean, if it was me, like I would still wear them anytime I saw it. Like I make a point, like if someone gives me an article of clothing, I have a tendency, especially like I think about my mom, right? She picks out such amazing clothes, and I will wear them when she's not around, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, oh, these are pants that my mom bought me, I'm gonna pack that with me to take back home, or go, whenever I meet her, right? I'm gonna pack some of the articles that I know that she's given me, the earrings that I've known she's given me, and I get compliments on them all the time. Like I bring that with me, and I want to show her that like I appreciate it by wearing it, right? And there's an extra layer to that experience. So whether or not my mom made it, it's not that she didn't, but like, it makes it even more, I think, even more potent, right? When it's like this, I thought of you, I saw this and I thought of you, so I'm giving it to you. Or, I really took some time and effort to make this for you, whether it be food, whether it be clothing, mittens, socks, whatever. I took time out of my day to put in an extra layer of love just for you, just took an action that was about you. And now this thing that you could have maybe bought for yourself or made for yourself or done for yourself, it has even more of a tangible feeling to it because it was a gift. Yes, and this life that we live is a gift. It is a gift, and we need to treat it as such, right? I think, society has put us in a space, and that's what I really want to get down to, is society has put us in a space that we have to create so much money and create so much things, accoutrement of basic needs, so that we can feel safe and secure. And a lot of people have to struggle and grind to even achieve the basics, right? Just the basics. And then, if we want to go on vacation, if we want to have a higher quality, that is considered luxury. Like the higher quality is no longer, I feel like it's no longer that someone just took extra time with it. Like you have to work extra time to be able to like receive it. It feels like we're in a unwinnable game to me, right? Like as a collective, we're in this unwinnable game. Only certain people get to like thrive and achieve their dreams or whatever, and everybody else, the everyday people, the mundane folks, the muggles, if you will, like all just have to like exist and just spiral and spin their wheels and grind, and maybe they get a vacation once a year, maybe they don't, maybe they like what they do at work, maybe they don't, who knows. And but it just feels like we're set up in a way to not fully thrive. And I want us all to have the space to thrive, right? I want us all to, shift our mindsets to being not only receiving, but like the giving part, right? Like it feels so good to share food. For me, like I love to share my food. I love to share my wine with people who are going to enjoy and appreciate it, right? The issue that I have with sharing, like especially with my wine, it's like, okay, but like you don't even like wine, so like why don't we like create a cocktail? I have a whole bar. Like let's figure out the things that you actually like so I can share something that you're going to enjoy and appreciate, right? I'm not trying to be stingy. Like I will pour open a glass for anybody, but you gotta want to enjoy it with me, right? Like that's for me, like that's what I want, right? I want us to enjoy this experience together. I'm not trying to have an argument about whether whiskey, wine, or vodka is better. I enjoy all three, right? Like I don't want to have to like argue about should we have spinach, kale, or a Caesar salad. I enjoy all three, right? So what is it that you want to experience? What is it that you want to enjoy in this life? So like if you're like, let's have a kale, like a warm kale salad with some like craisins and some pecans. If you're not allergic to nuts, I'm very aware of that because my roommate's allergic to nuts. Like if that's something, like let's work on it. Let's add some feta. Let's smack that kale and get that bitterness out. Give it a little salt bath to like release some of that bitterness and make it softer and more tender. And like, maybe we warm it up, maybe we eat it like raw, I guess is the right way to term it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. What is it that you want to experience? I think that's the biggest question always. I feel like I come back to this question all the time. What do you want to experience, and how can I share in that experience with you that is joyful, that is expansive, that is glorious? That is what I'm building, right? That is what I am creating with my membership, is one, a space that we can come to that self-awareness of what is it that we want? Where do we want to be? What do we want to experience? What do we want to grow? Let's be self-aware here. Get to that self-awareness. That's like step one. Step two is like letting go and releasing all the other stuff that does not align with where we want to be, right? Like if I want to be, 140 pounds, well, what is it that I'm doing that is not aligning with it? Did I move today? Have I burned any calories? What calories am I intaking? How do I feel when I intake those calories? Am I intaking in a way that is so excessive that my stomach hurts after I eat? Am I getting like, is my gut health good? Like how does my skin react? I can tell when I'm not eating the best, if I'm eating more processed foods, if I'm doing whatever, my skin, everyone tells me that I have great skin and I thank you for it, but I can tell when it can be better. Like I know, and like, oh, I'm not drinking enough water. It's not as clear as it should be. The body is not responding the way it should be. I'm more sore than I need to be or could be. All of these things, I'm aware of all of the things that are adding up to my discomfort, right? So this is why I'm uncomfortable. This is what's causing my discomfort. These are the changes I can make to alleviate this discomfort. But are the changes uncomfortable as well? So what uncomfortable do I want to play with? Or how can I alleviate the discomfort while doing something that I can change into comfortable, that I can enjoy in the comfort? Okay, I'm going to exercise more. If I don't like, getting on the row machine or, the Stairmaster. Oh, I hate the stair. Like it's so boring to me, and it's just, I don't know. I can't stand it. Hate it. I hate it. Okay, fine. I hate it. I don't have to burn my calories that way. I can dance. I can do yoga. I can go for a walk in nature. Like I can find the things that actually feel good for me, that are good for me as well, right? Feel good to me, that are good for me. Yes, we can do those things. That is the journey. Yes. Finding the ways to make it so much more fun, enjoyable, comfortable, loving, and nourishing to our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. Yes. So that's what we're doing, right? We're releasing all of that, and then we're holding ourselves accountable for continuing, for that, staying consistent, right? Staying consistent and creating the life and the experience that we are desiring. Unfortunately, we don't lose 100 pounds overnight. Unfortunately, we don't wake up and there's $1 million in our bank account. I mean, maybe you do, that can happen, but like it hasn't happened in my experience. So that's not something I can talk to. I can talk to the fact that I have in my life lost 50, 60, 70 pounds. I might have put it back on, but like I have done that. These are the things that I can talk about, right? I have restarted businesses. I can talk about it takes consistency to keep showing up, especially if you're going to shift everything that you have talked about before to something new. Like it takes showing up and rebuilding trust and rebuilding an audience. It takes showing up. Yeah, it takes consistency. Things don't just happen overnight. It might look like things happen overnight for some people because, you get the highlight reel on social media, whatever. But honestly, they put in work. Even I think about back when I started working when I was working for Wine Shop at Home, and I was, you know, building my business, and I really, really wanted to be the number one salesperson. I wanted to earn the trips. I wanted to do all the things. And I realized, one, I wanted to do them because that was like the expectation of like joining the thing. But honestly, I wanted to make enough money that I could afford to audition for stuff that I want when I wanted to audition. I wanted to make enough money so I could like live a freer life. That's honestly my end goal. And I realized that, yeah, while I love wine, I don't have to operate in somebody else's like experience, in somebody else's business platform to create for myself, create financial gain for myself. So that's when I decided to make a shift. But I'm getting out of away from the point that I was trying to make as to why. Oh, and I lost it. Maybe it'll come back to me, maybe it won't. But either way, I find that it's perfect. Someone needed to hear that last part more than they needed to hear where I thought my brain was going to go with that conversation. But know that we have to hold ourselves accountable for it. We have to stay consistent in showing up for ourselves if we want to maintain what it is that we are desiring, if we want to actually completely change, right? When I think about going back to the wine thing, like, okay, I had an end goal in mind, but at the end of the day, part of it was also realizing that I'm going to have to continue to do the same things over and over and over again that I don't want to do. So why am I going to do this? I'm just building somebody else's dream when I have my own dreams. So why don't I just focus on my own dreams? Yeah. Focus on my own dreams, focus on my own desires, focus on what it is that makes me thrive and excited to live this life. What is it that makes you want to thrive and live this life? And let's do it. Let's do it inside the membership. Let's hold ourselves accountable. Let's bring forward that self-awareness. Let's release all the shit that doesn't matter, that's keeping us away from actually doing the things, and get her done. That's right. And with that, I'm going to say ta-ta for now. I hope you're having a magical day. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to Coming Home with Mama T, and be on the lookout for the membership that's coming up. I've said it before. I'm really looking to have physical spaces and places where we can meet in person as well. So stay connected. Follow me on all the socials, and look out, because we're going places, and I want you to come along on the journey. Thank you. Mwah.